This game has been recommended to me for a very long time, and I'd like to thank my pal Basket Casey for his review on the game that made me certain I would be getting around to it eventually. That said, I wouldn't get around to it if I didn't also make an excuse for myself, and so you'll be seeing this review as part of my Waifuware series. Although you can't get this game on Steam and it's not trying to bait you into spending your hard-earned dollar as this game is free, I wanted to close out the first season of Waifuware with a high recommendation that perfectly demonstrates why price and quality should never be viewed as inherently linked. Katawa Shoujo is a kinetic novel developed and published by 4-Leaf Studios. It begins in a wintry landscape while our main character is meeting up with a girl who has a confession to make. The next few moments painfully chronicle a type of anxiety attack I'm more than personally familiar with. As the girl Hisao is meeting gets further and further into her confession, Hisao's anxiety levels climb and his heart begins to palpitate worse and worse. It picks up to the point where he actually collapses and needs to be rushed to the hospital. This type of heart attack happened to me all the way back in 2nd grade, and it's something I've been wary about happening again ever since. I certainly didn't expect right off the bat to have something to personally relate to this main character with, but here it is. Though this aspect of our main character won't resonate with everybody, our MC is actually fleshed out enough I believe anybody can get into what's going on. Hisao spends the next few months in the hospital, his heart weak from the attack, his mindset bitter at the circumstances. Gradually, in his wallowing despair, he pushes away his friends and thinks only of things in a negative light. His whole life from here on out will be reshaped. Daily medications, reduced energy and stamina, constant awareness of his heartbeat, and the fear that anything could cause a repeat of the incident. Because the world cannot be trusted to bend around him and his newfound disability, Hisao is not able to resume his normal life. Instead, Hisao is sent to a special school for those in need of extra medical attention, Yamaku Academy. In many ways, Hisao initially takes this as a defeat. Hisao feels he is now somehow a lesser person, a burden on his family, society, and the world. Hisao is defeated by his feelings of being an other, or somebody who must be categorized as different than the norm. This feeling isn't exactly dissuaded when he arrives at the school and sees the student body. People who, like himself, could find themselves in need of immediate medical attention without a moment's notice. But unlike him, most of them have visible disabilities. Students missing arms and legs, blind or deaf, students with burns covering their bodies, all matter of disability on display. These people, these others, will be Hisao's only friends going forward. From here, Hisao will live on campus learning to deal with his disability, as well as how to interact with people of varying disabilities and treat them with proper respect and decorum. Katawa Shoujo is a kinetic novel that highlights the difficulty of living different types of lives, and humanizing those who at first many pass off as just disabled people, rather than people with disabilities. The characters in this game are very well written, and it seems no shortage of care and due diligence was given when scripting how these characters deal with their disabilities. There are multiple routes in this game tied to decisions you make along the way, and if you don't stumble into a bad ending, you will stumble into a romantic one, where you pursue one of your female classmates, or Kenji. These routes will include sexual or pornographic content if you didn't choose to disable it, but in no way does it feel like it's been shoehorned in. If anything, these moments are parts of the relationship building and character development. Unlike many other visual novels of this nature, these scenes are not the goal of the game or the final reward. They are often events along the way. They are genuine parts of the narrative with much more story to follow. Quite often these scenes are bookended by heavy amounts of character development and emotional exposition, and I feel no shame in saying that, through some of them, I went in one side as a blubbering, sniffling idiot wrought with emotion, and came out the other side, a blubbering, sniffling idiot wrought with emotion. Congratulations, Katawa Shoujo, for dethroning Lost Odyssey and The Walking Dead Season 1 as the most emotional games I've ever played. Getting close with these characters and learning about their history, their disabilities, and how it affected their life and mental state hits very hard. As Hisao learns to deal with his disabilities and make friends with the student body, he learns many of them are struggling to deal with their disabilities as well. But it's hardly the physical aspect of their disabilities the students at Yamaku are struggling with. It is the psychological aspects they've incurred as a result of them. Many of these girls lack trust or confidence. Many of these girls experience traumas that the recounting of would make even the most grisly or cold-hearted of people choke up. Many of these girls have set up walls, and tearing them down so that the two of you may grow into better, more dependable people is an arduous and emotionally ravaging experience. This is a very emotional game. If anything, it's too emotional, but that's not a real complaint. At the time of recording this, I've only finished a small handful of routes, and I have trouble jumping straight into the next one because of the toll it takes on my emotional state. I feel the need to unwind for a day or two after completing each one. Now, it's worth noting before I say anything else that this game was largely a passion project put together by a small handful of people and released for free. A lack of budget will show in some areas. There are some amazing pieces of music, art, and animation, but there are some areas where a level of cheapness may seem apparent. For starters, there is no voice acting in this game whatsoever. The sound effects on display aren't what we would call good. Backgrounds seem largely comprised of photos with filters applied to them, and some of the art and anatomical correctness isn't always up to par. But in no way is it actually detracting from the experience. To say that better art or sound exists in other games is not to say that this game isn't absolutely fantastic. It is. Katawa Shoujo is a serious game, but it's not afraid to be funny. It's sweet and humanizing, and works wonders to build empathy. Where subject matter involving sexual relations with people with disabilities is often the butt of a joke, Katawa Shoujo takes the theme and makes it feel no different than dealing with any other kind of person. Katawa Shoujo is not only a good game, but one I would deem important for the insight it can provide to the player, and the new perspectives it can grant people on subject matter they often don't think about in a serious way. If you're looking for something that can resonate with you on a deep level and transcend just being a piece of entertainment, then hop on board the field train and join Hisao in his adventures chasing all the cute girls at Yamaku Academy.